Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the GrizzlyBear Sims YouTube channel, and welcome to a brand new map. God bless the USA and God bless Texas. Yes, we are playing on Lone Star. Lone Star is a map that was created by R. McKinney. I don't really know who that individual is. The credits that he gives in his American Eagles modding posting is basically he's crediting Giants, R. McKinney, and somebody by the name of Spanky. So we are here. This is episode number 1. We are in the first game day of spring, late spring. Yes, it is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon as our American flag proudly waves there in our mild Texas breeze, I would have to say. Now, this map basically is based on a real life farm area, farm region near in DePort, Texas, which is just sort of down the road from Paris, Texas, in that area. And as the crow flies, it's about 65 to 75 miles or so from where I grew up as a young boy, as a young little whippersnapper there in growing up in Texas. I lived probably the first half of my life in Texas, maybe a little more than that, I suppose. I've been in Colorado for 19 years, and so do the math, and you'll figure out how long I lived in Texas. I am a fifth generation Texan. I'm very proud of that. My one of my actually my um, one of my great grandfathers was born in Texas before Texas was a state. When it was still a republic, when it was still its own country. So I'm very proud of that. Now, this map is a little different. I've added a few things to it, just basically some placeables. I put in a silo for our silage because I did get a bit spoiled to the silo that we had on Pine Cove Farm that thankfully Stevie placed there for us. And pretty much everything else is just kind of a change in equipment because I like to kind of do my own thing as far as equipment goes. You will notice a few things from our Pine Cove map, like my trusty Challenger there. That's kind of my go-to tractor. I like to use that. I did place this beet storage, well, a root crop storage. It's both sugar beets and potatoes. I put that there just for it's a mod. It's a placeable mod, but some of this you might notice or you might recognize some of this from FS15. I know these grain silos and all that was from FS15. I remember seeing that in, I believe, on States, I believe they had that. So we've got lots of storage here on sort of our main farm area. Now, I've also, just like I did with Pine Cove Farm and Lawfolds even, let me bring our camera down so we don't bang our head on the rafters there. But I did go ahead and add a few extra fields. We own 11 fields. I think by default you own about 3, and I have changed that to where we own now 11 fields. So basically in the southern portion of the map, we've got fields number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and field 11. Now, field number 1, kind of the work we're going to do today in this game day, and this will most likely will be the only episode in this game day. I've spent about 8 hours. Oddly enough, that's about how long it sort of takes me to get everything going like I like to have going, just so that when I come to you and start the video series, I've got as much stuff going as we need to have going. Now, of course, with the seasons mod, I've talked about this before, about the simple fact that if we're going to play this, and we're probably only going to play this map for one season, well, we kind of need to get all of our animals in place to do that because we just don't have the luxury of that playing in that spring, summer, fall cycle where we can just rinse and repeat over and over and over. And after about 20 episodes, we've simulated maybe 3 or 4 years. We just don't have that luxury here. So we're in early spring, basically things are just now starting to come to life, and we've gone ahead and put our animals in place. We've got 200 head of cattle, so basically we need this big pecan mixing wagon for that. You guys might remember that from Stevie's Goldcrest edit that I did even before the Seasons mod came about. So here's our dairy in all its glory and everything here, and this is just a very beautiful map. Now, you guys, you know me, I don't really do map tours, and I'm not really going to waste your time, because it's possible that maybe you have already seen a map tour of this map. As a matter of fact, I watched a map tour of this map from my good friend Farmer Klein. And if you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, I encourage you to do that. He does some very good first impression videos. You know, I couldn't even do what he does as far as the way that he does his videos and everything. I would see a duck fly across the air and just get completely, lose my train of thought and everything because of that. But he really keeps things on sort of on track, on point. And after maybe 40 minutes to an hour or something, he gives you a good synopsis of everything that you need to know as far as the maps go. And that's more or less how I heard about Lone Star. Now, I know that Lone Star is being played on YouTube. Some other guys are playing this map, but to my knowledge, of at least of the YouTubers that I follow, that I sort of think that are playing this map, I'm the only native Texan that's playing it. So I'm taking great pride in playing a map that more or less, as far as the region, from what I see when I look around this map, it reminds me of my childhood home, and how excited am I to be able to do this. I can almost smell the pine trees. I can hear the wind blowing through the pines. I can hear the birds. It's early spring, but yet it's still warm, and the summer has not kicked in. We've got some work to do, obviously, here on this map, and I've sort of laid everything out for you that I'm planning on following as far as how I'm planning on doing things. If you look down in the comments or in the notes section below the video, you'll see what our planting strategy potentially is. And of course, that is subject to change, because you just never know. We might run into a situation where we have to, let's fold that back up, where we have to make a change or whatever. But for right now, I've put the plan, at least the plan, down below. And again, I've already spent about 8 hours or so getting things in place, getting our animals in place, getting our equipment set up, and such as that. All I've done as far as field work is concerned is pretty much plowed everything. I still have one more field that we're going to plow, and that's that field number 10, that we're going to once again split down the middle. It's one of the smaller fields. We're going to plant sugar beets on one side and potatoes on the other, and we're going to try our best to make all of our crops grow on this map. And of course, as I've said before, sort of as I said in the maybe somewhat farewell video to Pine Cove Farm that I made, that you guys just watched the other day, we're going to try our best to make sure that if the Seasons mod comes, if there's an update to the Seasons mod, we're going to try to keep that off of this map, just to keep things consistent with the growth cycles and all that kind of stuff. I think that was really what our problem was. And so we're going to try to, like I said, correct that and prevent that from happening. Now, yes, we are going to plant grass in this field. As I take a drink, and my apologies for that. But this is one of our smaller fields, and there is a considerable amount of grass on this map, but I like to have one field for grass, and especially playing it here on this Texas map. Hey, I have very fond memories of working in the summers there, growing up in the great state of Texas, working in the summers and hauling hay, stacking hay, and all that kind of stuff. And we had, the farms that I worked on, the friends that I helped, etc. They all had they all had hay meadows, and so that's more or less what we're gonna do here. That's kind of what we're gonna simulate is a hay meadow. And so let me just I'm gonna need GPS for this because I want things to be kind of straight. So I actually have not working with let me just double check this really quick here in the store. I always get just a little bit and my apologies, I always get just a little bit 22.5 meters is what this guy is. I always get just a little bit mistaken or confused on what the working widths of these things are supposed to be. So we'll dial that down to just that's fine right there. And we don't need an offset, so we can get rid of that. And we do need to go ahead and bring our line over just a little bit here. And but yeah, I like to, I kind of want to simulate as best as possible kind of how I remember things growing up as a kid. And so yeah, so let's get going. All right, and we're off. So just like we did with Pine Cove Farm, these are fairly big fields, and as a result of the size of the fields, we will be taking advantage of hired workers through auto combine from time to time, but most likely course play will be what we will use on this map. And let me just do this really quick here. Alright, once again we're off. So I wanted to get my thumbnail while I was thinking about it because you guys know how important that is to me to get that for you all so that you can kind of get an idea of what you're going to see before you actually start seeing it. So we're just going to do up and down here. We've got our other worker over there. That's Billy Bob. Billy Bob came with us from Pine Cove Farm. I will be introducing you to new workers, new names here on our farm that are helping us out. Basically, Jim Bob stayed behind at Pine Cove Farm to help out with things there because basically, we're sort of, as I put in the notes of this particular map, I'm sort of considering myself to be a little bit of a farm whisperer. I'm sort of the farm troubleshooter, if you will, where we come in and sort of the storyline is that I sort of represent some unnamed investors, some guys that just really want to stay in the shadows, but yet they've got a lot of money and they believe that agriculture is very important to the success of our great country, as well as the success of our entire world population. We need farmers, folks, and I know that for those of you that are watching this video, that regularly watch my videos, you all know this. I'm preaching to the choir, so nothing else really has to be said there. But farming is very important, and so the individuals that I represent, again, these silent investors, these guys that could be considered that they've got more money than perhaps they have sense. These guys are want to make sure that the future of farming is strong, and as a result, they are putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak, and they are investing in these farms that are sort of struggling, sort of suffering from the economy, the poor economy of what's been going on the last several years in this part of Texas, very similar to what we experienced basically all over the country, certainly in Pine Cove Farm, and now here as well. So we are setting up this farm. We basically stepped in and took it over after the bank pretty much repossessed everything, and we're taking care of the animals that were here on the farm already. Not very much in the area of grains and stuff in the silos. The silos are pretty much empty, so we have been begging, borrowing, buying certainly not stealing, but we have been getting as much as we possibly can from other farms, from other farmers in the area, and they have been just incredible at supporting our efforts in getting things going here on the Lone Star map. So again, sort of big equipment is the name of the game. It's a theme here for us on this map, as well as it was with Pine Cove Farm, just because that's what we need to be able to tackle these big fields, to basically manage them, to get them under control, beat them into submission, however you want to refer to it. We need the big equipment to do that. But yeah, so we're basically going to plant grass on this field. This is going to be our dedicated grass and hay field. We will be getting silage through chaff, through corn chaff actually. So I will be planting 2 fields of corn. One will be for silage. That will be field 2, which actually is just right over there, is field number 2. And then we will plant another field of corn, which is field 7. It's a bit of an odd-shaped field. We may actually take some trees out at some point in time, but we probably won't worry about that until after we get our planting done. That can be something that we do in those long dog days of summer when we're sort of waiting for our crops to grow and we've taken care of all of our other chores and everything, and kind of looking for things to do. Don't worry folks, I'm not going to get overly oops, wrong button. I'm not going to get overly excited about the whole forestry aspects. As I've talked about, really, as I sort of mentioned in the farewell video to Pine Cove Farm, we could have done some additional things on Pine Cove Farm, certainly, to sort of weigh our time out and everything. But, this game is called Farm Simulator for a reason, Farming Simulator for a reason. And having said that, it's not necessarily all about forestry. We're going to do a little bit of forestry just because actually I do remember as a kid watching all the pulpwood trucks running up and down the road and everything, and of course this part of Texas, just as well as southeast Texas, is very is basically very, it's weird. I'm just trying to turn on interesting. Anyway, trying to activate some of the functions of oh, I can't think of it name. I can't think of what the name of it is. Anyway, I'll think it'll come to me in just a minute. Anyway, seeing the the pulpwood trucks and everything. Now, where my grandparents live north of Houston, about 50 miles or so north of Houston, in a small town called, well, medium-sized town called Cleveland, Texas, like Cleveland, Ohio, but Cleveland, Texas. And lots of the Big Thicket is down there. That's a national forest, and lots of pine trees, lots of logging and everything going on down there. I lived in Louisiana for a couple of years, and I think I talked about my I'll call him my grandfather-in-law, he was my first wife's grandfather, and he worked in the logging industry, and also had a farm. And so, but typically farming with regards to what we see here in this game is pretty much just, limited, and what we see in the real life is limited to a guy that's got a chainsaw and he knows how to use it. So what we're probably going to do is we'll simulate, maybe bringing in a company to take out, some trees or whatever. We'll figure out a storyline, some way to make it all sort of make sense. So I hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful day. I wasn't really sure when I was going to introduce you to Lone Star. I sort of knew going into it, and I started setting everything up over the weekend, Easter weekend, as a matter of fact. My wife wasn't feeling well, and so she sort of spent much of Saturday and even a portion of Easter Sunday in bed, and just not feeling well, like I said. And so I spent a little bit of time getting some things set up. I worked a little bit on Monday evening, and today is actually Tuesday. As I'm recording this, is Tuesday the 18th. But I wasn't really sure when I was going to be able to bring you this episode. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get it out this week. Pine Cove sort of. I stopped it abruptly, I will admit, but I really just couldn't see a direction forward without sort of breaking away from the farming aspect of it, and I thoroughly enjoy the farming aspect of this game. I mean, after all, to me, that's what it's called. It's called Farming Simulator. It's called this for a reason. Oh, we have our resident ducks are coming in to land on their pond. I'll try to show you that sometime soon. That's quite interesting. I believe also our ponds are well stocked with fish. In this area, catfish would be probably quite common to see in our little ponds and lakes. And so, but I'm just very happy to be playing on this map. This is a really, like I said, a really cool map. May not be as much stuff to do as we had on Pine Cove Farm. Obviously, we've got the biogas facility. Now, whether or not we will do anything with that, I don't know. We are going to be doing the biogas facility on Lawfolds. And by the way, Lawfolds is going to go ahead and run its course. I talked about it in maybe episode 37 or 38 or whatever, that did I make a mistake by carrying it on too long, by going 2 full seasons, by going so many episodes? And the feedback that I've received from many of you who have watched my channel for more than just 5 minutes, because I remember conversing with you many weeks and months ago. And I'm going to just get out, and I guess Billy Bob went to take a nap or take a lunch or do something or whatever, so he left his tractor out here in the middle of the way. So we're going to basically get this out of here for us. We're going to stop the driver. We'll just close that out because we don't need that anymore. And of course we do need to fire up the engine and move this out of the way. So we'll just go ahead and drive this up to the north end of the field because, well, that's where the exit is. But gosh, I lost my train of thought again. Lawfold. So yes, you guys have spoken, and many of you have even chimed in and said you want to see, you'll watch Lawfolds for as long as I'm continuing to play it. Somebody, I think maybe it was DC perhaps, even suggested 100 episodes. I don't know if we'll go 100 episodes. We're at about 48 or 49, I think. I don't have my spreadsheet in front of me, so I could be making a complete fool of myself. It could be more or it could be less, but I think that's around the number that we are at as far as number of episodes. And let me just turn that on, get rid of the parking brake, and we are off once again. So again, I'm going to continue with Lawfolds at least to finish the second season, the second year, and then maybe we'll do a game day in spring just to kind of showcase and illustrate that yes, we did manage to make enough. I need to make an odd turn here just because of those trees, but that we did make enough hay and silage and all that kind of stuff to last the winter, and see how all of our sheep are faring. We've got a large number of sheep, and they need us to continue taking care of them. So we're going to do that. I still have plans to have a European or a British map, and I sort of have an idea. I'm not going to say anything right now because, quite honestly, and I will apologize that I changed my mind quite a bit on things. I talk about, well, maybe I'm going to play, I told you a couple of episodes ago I was going to play Lone Star, and then I think a few episodes ago I said, well, I think it's going to be Northwest Texas. And basically, while I'm talking about Northwest Texas, I will just say that after looking at Northwest Texas and actually driving around quite a bit, I really felt that this map had a little bit more charm to it, and I think I can add a little bit more character, and I can add obviously some memories of growing up on a farm very similar to this, albeit much, much, much smaller. Even though things are bigger in Texas, my granddaddy's farm, which is where I spent the first 5, 6 years of my life living on, was relatively small in comparison to all of these. I mean, he had a nice one of those old red barns that you see, and actually it's still standing. I saw it maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I went for my grandmother's funeral. My grandmother on my mom's side had passed away, and so let's see what we want to do. I think we'll just kind of come up here and kind of get a headland going around the field. Don't need that anymore. My grandmother on my mom's side, so the farm that I grew up on, that I spent the first 5 or 6 years of my life on, that was the farm of my father's father. Mr. Taylor, Paul Taylor was what I called him growing up. He passed away when I was a very small baby, I don't even think a year old when he passed away. And so I never knew him. There's a picture that I remember growing up as a kid, and I'm sitting or laying in his lap, and I'm, like I said, less than a year old, and it was probably just a couple of more months before he passed away. Now, in my office where I game, and I have a basement office, I have a cedar chest that he made for my dad, and my dad gave it to me a couple of years ago, and it sits kind of behind me. It sits in front of a sofa that I have in my office, and it's a very, very beautiful, and it smells incredible when you open the lid of the cedar chest. And my granddad made that. My granddad was a farmer and a carpenter, and basically, growing up, I guess he just had to learn everything, and as people do from that generation. My granddad on my dad's side, so more or less the farmer that owned the farm and everything where I grew up, he fought in World War I. The interesting thing is my granddad on my mom's side actually fought in World War II. So a little bit of a generational difference, obviously, there. I'm much, much older, and I think my mom's dad. He was born like in 1920. My granddad on my dad's side was born in 1890 something, 1895, 1897, something like that. So much, much older, a different generation and everything. I wish I would have known him. Obviously, all I know is from listening to the stories of my dad and him, my dad growing up. And even there was a huge generational gap between my dad and his other siblings. My uncle, my dad's brother, he actually fought in World War II. So he was sort of the same generation as my granddad on my mom's side. But anyway, my granddad, who owned the farm, he had fields, and he was a farmer just mainly for his family. He did carpentry work and everything to earn money, and of course, raised animals, had cows and pigs and stuff like that. And so they would obviously slaughter what they needed for the family, but also he would sell it to the community and stuff like that. So very small town, Texas, where I grew up. Our town was so small that we had one stoplight. It was a 4-way flashing stoplight. So the town wasn't even fancy enough to have like a red, yellow, green type stoplight. It was just a 4-way stoplight. And basically it was halfway, sort of at the crossroads between highways going from Tyler to Palestine and Athens to Jacksonville, Texas. And very small town. And I tell you what, Probably growing up, I would have disagreed with what I'm going to say next, and maybe some of you guys can relate if you're honest about it. But growing up in small town Texas, I would not trade that for the world. Let me tell you, I am so thankful that I had the life that I had growing up. I'm so thankful that I had the teachers and stuff in school that genuinely, that's a hard word to say when my mouth is kind of dry, genuinely cared about what they did, their profession, teaching. The town was so small, and I often say, besides making fun of the fact that our stoplight was a four-way flashing stoplight, but also our town was so small that when we would get in trouble as kids, oftentimes the news of what we did actually reached our parents even before we actually did whatever it was that we were doing that was bad. And of course, I was a relatively good kid, as I'm sure you can imagine. And I honestly, I was. I mean, I stayed out of trouble. My parents gave me an excellent upbringing, and I am just very thankful that I've had all of that ability to live and grow up like that. So we're just going to go around and see if we've hit everything. Obviously, since this is going to be our grass and hay meadow, we want to make sure that we've got it all covered. I do have 3 times fertilization turned on, and I do have obviously a periodic plowing turned on, and part of the 7 or 8 hours that I've spent in getting this map ready for the series has pretty much been, setting up course play routes to plow all the fields. I know I could have just turned plowing off, and maybe, I don't know, would I get the same results? I'm not sure. That's a good question. If you know the answer, respond in the comments. So if you turn plowing off, do you get the same crop yield as if you had plowing turned on and you plow? Now obviously, if you have periodic plowing turned on and you don't plow when it needs to be plowed, your yield will be scaled back. But if you have periodic plowing turned off, is it more or less the same as having it turned on and doing the work, doing the plowing? But anyway, it is turned on. Periodic plowing is turned on, and I think I need to come in here and hit this spot here. So periodic plowing is turned on, and so we've done all the fields. I think we have one more field to do, and we'll probably do that. I'll probably do that on camera, actually. Yeah, I tell you what, I'm gonna lose sleep tonight if I don't get that little tiny spot there sealed in there with some grass. This may not be the exact type of cedar that one would plant grass with. I try to do things as realistic as possible, or as realistic as I understand them to be. So in other words, I know that it's not a row crop type planter that plants grass. It's a similar to this type of a cedar. Obviously, this is just a larger version of the other cedars that are in the game. And of course, this is a John Deere mod, and this is the same cedar that we actually used on Pineco Farm. So I am mixing things up just a little bit. I was going to bring the big John Deere tractor in. I don't know what series that is, like 9000 series or something. But I had issues with it with courseplay, especially in doing its turns and everything. It had a difficulty trying to find the next waypoint on its turns, and it would often skip to the next waypoint and get completely off course, and I was really pulling my hair out. And if you guys caught the live stream that I did on Saturday, where I started doing a little bit of the pre-work on this map, then you might have experienced my frustration as I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on with it, because it was just not behaving the way that I wanted it to. So we will go ahead and fold things up, and we are, look at there, we're 35 minutes into our video, so we're going to get things kicked off on the right foot. That is, try to keep our episodes short and sweet and consistent and concise, and any of those other words that you might want to say. So we've got lots of storage on this map. We've got some storage there that we're going to put some pig feed into, and probably some straw for their bedding. I showed you the root crop storage bunker right there. This is a pretty cool mod. You can just dump the root crops there at that conveyor. It will load them into the shed. And don't worry, that's just, it's not really full. It doesn't have anything in it. Actually, that's just part of the way it looks, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. So I'm still maybe sort of tweaking our equipment. I brought in the Pinta trailer just because this is a Canadian made trailer, and obviously we're using this on law folds, but I may get rid of it and bring something else in. But obviously we're going to do semis, we're going to do auger wagons, we're going to do, I've brought in, this is from GTX Modding, this is the big Corona rake that they did. I think they released this mod just a few weeks ago. But this is really nice. You might remember this from FS15. This was one of the default in-game rakes. So anyway, we're going to do things, sort of the old-fashioned way here on this map, meaning we're going to do bales versus doing silo storage for our things like grass and things like straw and things like hay. We're going to do our silage in this silage silo just because these things do exist. And the other great thing about a silo like this is, and we may actually have another one built if we need the capacity, is that you can continue to add product to it as it's converting it to silage. In these types of silos, you got to pretty much get everything, every little last scrap out of there before you can put anything new in there. And so this will kind of allow us to kind of keep things running. But obviously we are playing with the seasons mod. Let me just very quickly bring up our weather forecast for you to take a look at. We do have rain tomorrow. We do have clearing on Wednesday, so that would be the third game day of spring. And then, of course, the first game day of summer, we've got rain, which is good. We'll take the rain in the summertime. So hopefully we'll get all of our planting done. At least that is my plan, to get all the seeding and everything done over the next 2 game days. This will be the last game day for this, this will be the only episode for this game day. We will be hitting it hot and heavy for game day number 2, and I don't know, we'll do however many episodes it takes, but I would wager to guess that there would be probably 3 or 4 episodes per game day as we try to get all of the tasks done that we need to do on the farm, keep our animals going. We're going to need to mow some grass because we need to get our dairy cows up to 100%. It sort of bugs me to have them lesser than 100%, but unfortunately there's no way of getting grass on this map until we get an opportunity to cut it, because obviously you can't buy grass bales at the store. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you are as excited about Lone Star as I am. And beautiful pine tree, just beautiful Texas scenery here. I wish there was a Texas flag on that flagpole. I know if I lived here, if this were my real life farm, I would have a Texas flag flying beside our beautiful American flag. So thank you all again so much for watching. Please tune in again next time for another episode here on Lone Star or on Law Folds. And I will probably get those confused, Law Folds and Lone Star. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. Take care now. Bye-bye.